Hello and welcome again to another edition of Give It a Shot, Spotlight Edition, and today I am going to cover something that has been sitting in the mystery box for a while and has just never made it as a selection. The Donkey Kong Country Triple Feature. And I decided to do this because, like I said, it was in the box for a number of episodes and just never made it, and I figured, you know what, I'm just gonna give it a shot and see what happens. So what I decided to do, since this is a triple feature and it has 3 episodes in it, I was going to watch Kung Fu, see how well it went. When I think Kung Fu, there's a movie that is known, I believe it's from the late 1970s, maybe early 1980s, called King Kung Fu. It is basically a Kung Fu movie with a person in an ape or a gorilla costume. And for whatever reason, they are promoting Omaha, I believe. It is a pretty wild movie. Yeah, it's odd. I don't really know who the target audience was for it, but it was a thing. It exists.
It's time for a one-on-one, Herman. Bo Burgess and King Kung Fu in a martial arts massacre. With me as the karater and him as the karate.
I don't know. But anywho, I saw the title of Kung Fu and I thought, alright, fine, we're gonna see what this is about. Now, you gotta remember, Donkey Kong Country, it's based on the Nintendo character Donkey Kong. I remember when the video game Donkey Kong Country came out, in the mid-1990s, it was pretty revolutionary, using those pre-rendered graphics that made it look oh so good. I did play it. I don't remember if I beat it or not. I mean, it was fun when I played it. It was a fun experience, but I don't know. Maybe it was just a level of platforming I didn't care for. But it was fun, and apparently it was so popular that somebody thought it was a good idea to make a cartoon out of it. And instead of doing traditional hand-drawn animation, which in the 90s that was still a thing that people were doing, they went the mainframe route. They went CG, and you can definitely tell this is early CG. I'm not going to get into it right off the bat. I'll wait until I get to the animation section. But you can definitely tell this is a product of its time. So, whew, they thought it was a good idea to make a television series, CG animated. And back then that was uncommon, and you can see why. So, anyway, getting to the story, Donkey Kong is the protector of Congo Bongo, I believe is the name of the island. And every year there is a challenge where he must defend all challengers from taking the crystal coconut. Basically, it's a crystal ball. And he has to win the contest to continue to be king, or to become king. It's not really that well figured out.
If DK lost the challenge, he wouldn't be future ruler anymore?
That's right.
Ha! No one ever challenges DK. He's the biggest, strongest ape on all of Congo Bongo.
But that's what's going on. And the whole thing opens with Cranky Kong, who, from my understanding, is supposed to be, I've heard this, I don't know what to make of it, but it's supposedly the original Donkey Kong from the 1981 arcade, and the Donkey Kong in this is supposedly Donkey Kong Jr. Whatever. It kind of makes sense. I can sort of see that idea, but whatevs. But Cranky Kong has determined that there will be an eclipse in the near future, And it just so happens to be on the day of the challenge. And they talk about the challenge, because you got to have exposition, naturally, about what this challenge is and what it composes of.
If we rule out the contest of the body, we're left with the contest of the mind.
What's the third one?
The contest of the heart.
If I remember correctly, there are 3 parts to the contest. The challenge of the mind, the challenge of the body, and the challenge of the heart. And so it's one of those things where you have to win 2 out of 3, and apparently Donkey has been doing nothing. He loafs. He's not exactly the sharpest knife in the drawer, and Heart, not really sure about. But if you remember from Donkey Kong Country, he has an adversary, King K. Rool, or in this case they call him King K. Rool. Sure, I guess. I always known him as King K. Rool, but whatever, potato. And so King K. Rool has this plan on getting the crystal coconut from Donkey Kong fair and square. He's going to basically hire someone to do his dirty work for him, and they get this dude named Kung Fu. Where do I begin with this character? You can tell it was definitely 70s inspired because his entrance song, he dances in with disco, which is quite an interesting choice. I know why they did it, because in the 1970s Kung Fu movies were big, and so was disco. And he's everything that King K. Rool believes will win the contest. And King K. Rool actually knows the rule of the contest just as well as anybody. It's like he seems to be a different kind of villain. Like most villains, you know, they're smart, but not like they know everything. And here with the rule book and that, he seems to have it all down.
According to the official rule book, if that yellow-bellied Neanderthal Donkey Kong doesn't show up, then I win by default.
So his plan is to have Kung Fu, who comes in dancing to this stuff. And there's a funny little thing here with the animation in this part. So they brought down a disco ball, and lights are going around. And as Kung Fu is dancing, you start to see some clipping, and it's just kind of funny to see that his hair is breaking through his pants while they're talking about this, and the whole song's about he's so mean he even scares himself, some things like that. And so he comes in, and then King K. Rool shows up in front of Donkey Kong and says, your days are numbered. I've got this person who is definitely going to beat you at the challenge, and I will definitely claim the crystal coconut and be ruler. Which I've always found that is short-sighted. I think that sort of thing is dumb, because if you look at the whole thing, everyone's complaining how Donkey Kong is vastly unprepared. He hasn't been training. He's dumber than a rock, and don't really think much of doing anything other than just being a bum and eating bananas all day.
Only if you exercise, you big dope. You were supposed to be training for the annual Donkey Kong Challenge.
If I ate 58 bananas, I'd probably want to shit my guts out, like he probably did. And so I don't care for that forewarning. I mean, if I'm a real evil genius, I don't say anything, and then I just show up with this character and just, knock Donkey the fuck out.
Let's get on with it! I want to see Donkey Kong laid out!
But it's not how the story's written. And so they announce that they're gonna come in and, you know, take down Donkey Kong. And so now we go in through training montages of sorts through each challenge. They're not much. I mean, you know, it's a 20-some-odd minute cartoon. I'm not expecting them to go through rigorous stuff, but, you know, challenge of the body. Turns out Donkey Kong has been lifting empty barrels, whereas Kung Fu beats the living tar out of King K. Rool's henchmen off screen, because that kind of dynamic animation I don't think they could have handled. The training for the Challenge of the Mind, Donkey Kong does not get it at all, and then Kung Fu is apparently a scientist of sorts, because he explains static electricity as well as gets a brain teaser right.
Single hydrogen atom. Electrons are also fundamental charges in static electricity. This is best demonstrated by rubbing one's foot along a carpet, then touching an object.
The one of the heart, the issue here is they have a song, they have a second song, and Candy Kong is singing, and the entire time Donkey is like, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die.
It'll all come through. I know I'm gonna get my butt kicked tonight.
Like every time Candy tries to bring him up, he's just like, he's pulling Eeyore here, which I kind of appreciated. Like, that's one of the few things in this cartoon I thought was actually kind of funny, where it's like, yeah, it's great, I have a heart, or, you know, do this, and oh, don't worry, he'll knock it off, you know, that's kind of cute.
Be strong, and soon I'll be coming on my food.
And then when it came to Kung Fu, it's like, well, he's not good at the hard part. What is he gonna do? And then King K. Rool says, well, if that's the case, then he will just give me the crystal coconut, which will be, you know, a very heartfelt thing, and then he'll win that challenge. King K. Rool's pretty confident. Team Kong is not. Diddy decides to go pay King K a visit and warn them, hey, we can delay this for a while because you're just going to get your butt kicked. And then in the middle of this weird diversion, distraction, whatever you want to call it, the lights turn off for reasons that escape me. Well, actually, I do know. They foreshadowed it a little bit at the very beginning with some wire problems at their headquarters, and the lights go off for a minute, and it turns out that Kung Fu is scared of the dark. And Diddy learns this and then runs away and has a plan. And like the whole idea is to delay the contest. So when they have the contest, they start doing things out of order. They start the whole thing off by dancing like there's a pregame show for reasons. King K, because I'm tired of saying King K. Rool. King K is getting really upset with this. Quit stalling, let's get on with this. And then they change the order of stuff, so instead of the challenge of the body is supposed to go first, but they end up switching it to the challenge of the mind. And naturally, Donkey Kong screws up.
Question! How many pieces of string would it take to reach the moon?
1,342,765,000.
Wrong!
And Kung Fu gets it. And then they're about to go into the heart, the challenge of the heart, but King K is like, nope, we're doing body and we're doing it now. And then there is some dynamic animation here where Donkey Kong is getting stomped on, getting a giant mud hole stomped into him, but it all stops because Kung Fu freaks out because an eclipse happens, and it gets all dark and he freaks out, and everyone's telling Donkey Kong, after he's just gotten the tar kicked out of him, go over there and, finish off Kung Fu. And Donkey's like, I can't do that, bro. I mean, he's freaking out. That's not right.
I I can't hit an ape when he's down.
The contest of the heart.
And just because of that, he wins the challenge of the heart. So now we're tied 1-1. And so we still haven't figured out body. And in the middle of Kung Fu's anxiety attack, King K and his henchmen are there making fun of Kung Fu. And when the sun comes back out, Kung Fu's like, "Hey, fuck you. I quit," and it just walks out.
Find another chump to do your dirty work. I forfeit. What? You can't do that.
And so it's like, okay, so Donkey wins by forfeit. Yay! This is like weird booking, like you would see in WCW back in the day or something like that. It doesn't make sense. It's like, I mean, you would be the ruler of the island, and you just say, fuck it. So, and that's really how it ends. Yay. So, I mean, at least the story is told well. So I might as well get into that now. The story is told somewhat well. It's a little contrived about the eclipse and whatnot, but it's not bad. It has some it has some interesting moments, like the second song.
Keep your head up. So you can knock it off my shoulder.
First song with the intro of Kung Fu is rather meh. Kind of cute that it's, you know, trying to do disco.
He's so mean, he's so tough, he's so bad, he scares himself.
Then there's the animation. This is hard. And this is probably going to be the section that I'm going to just go on about the longest. And just thinking about that. Come on, Nikki. We got to get through this. Oh. I'm doing my damnedest to forgive as much as possible. I mean, this stuff came out in 1997. So that's probably part of the reason why I didn't see this, because in 1997 I was going into the military. I was leaving home, and I wasn't really watching TV much at the time, so this kind of, you know, flew by me, didn't see it. And it's one of those things where you can tell, you know, they were trying. I mean, it's not the first computer animated cartoon series. I mean, that's Reboot, which I like the original Reboot. The first season was pretty good, but I mean, you can tell that's dated. I mean, for the style that they were going for that, it looked okay. Now you're gonna try and do something different, and with that you decide to go with a video game series that was, you know, popular at the time, but was computer animation up to the task? Well, not exactly. I mean, there's a lot of weird motion in this, like characters will bob and weave. It reminded me a lot of Trolland. But Trolland doesn't have any excuses because that was made in 2016. It had a near 20-year head start, you know, 20 years of advancements to do something. This did not. And so this looks still better than Trolland. I mean, the characters move a little awkward, a little weird, like the riggings aren't all there, and you know, it's like they have, for whatever reason, they have to make these characters move all the time and then do weird, and the way they chose expressions at times with the eyes like bulging in and out was a little weird. Scariest thing was Donkey Kong with teeth. Like every once in a while he would flash teeth in his mouth, and that was a little unsettling. Just a bit. It's not the worst thing. Yeah, you can see like when characters move, like here's a shape in the arm, or like Donkey Kong's butt. It's basically 2 bowling balls. But like I said, it's excusable for its time, because again, that's 1997. This stuff has not been anywhere near perfected. You know, it's kind of like Atari graphics. You know, the games are very simple, and the gameplay is simple. The graphics are crude and primitive, but you forgive it because it has that specific charm to it, because it's Atari, and that's just the way things were in that time. And I can do the same. I can make that same rationale for this. There was an honest attempt here to do something with these creatures, to make a television show that was somewhat, you know, competent and enjoyable. Just the animation wasn't there. I mean, I did every time the characters would move, I'd start to have flashes of Trollland, and oof, that was something. So yeah, it's not the worst thing that I've ever seen in terms of that. I mean, I've seen a lot worse, but it takes a minute, and you just have to keep in mind that, you know, this is what they were dealing with. This is the budget constraints that they had, and everything else. They did their damnedest, and it came out okay. It wasn't superior in any way. I mean, like, anytime they tried to do anything dynamic, they'd have to be off screen, because, you know, there wasn't enough money in the budget to really do stuff. And I could just imagine, just like I talk about Dingo Pictures and their Amiga computers like going into overdrive, I could just hear the Silicon Graphics computers of the day like losing their minds trying to animate half this stuff. And doing something dynamic would have been like, holy shit. So, hey, they tried. They did okay. Like I say, it's not the worst thing. I mean, it sat in the box for how many episodes, and I finally reviewed it. It only had one thing, and it was just the animation, and even that was with the understanding of it's of its time. So it's not bad. Story's a little contrived with the electrical problems and the eclipse, but not bad. Kind of a weird ending to it, but I mean, it's not King Kung Fu.
He's got Alfonso by the seat of the pants. It's a strike. Wrong sport, guy.
Maybe one day. Maybe one day, if I was just like really feeling it, I'd review that, because that would be a good one. Because not too many people know of it, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll. You know what? Here's what I'm gonna do, since I'm my own editor. If I can find it, put up the ending. Use the music from King Kung Fu to talk about Omaha or whatever it was, and go from there. So yeah, one shot, not bad. It's not the worst thing. So until next time, kiddies. Toodles.